Hello and welcome to another big edition of Layback with Betfair. We've got a terrific weekend of racing in store, headlined by the Group 1 Underwood Stakes at Caulfield and a cracking card at Royal Randwick as well, with the $1 million 7 stakes being run up there. My name's Nick Foot, your host. Joining me, as always, this is the now new A-team at Betfair. It's Reece, Goodwin, the Prince of Pakenham, Liam Clancey, the new Baron of Betfair. G'day, Reece. How are you, mate?
Yeah, no, I agree with you, Footy. I'm well to start with. Thanks for asking. But yeah, no, I agree. This is the A-team. I don't think we need Tom anymore. The only thing he's good for is lay-bins, so I'm happy with us three. I think we've been going well.
He's now the mayor of Malta or something. He's calling himself, because we've got the new Baron, which is Liam Clancey in the house. How are you, mate?
Yeah, very well. Chatting to Tommy during the week, he's chomping at the bit, and I just don't know where he's going to fit in.
So is he back? He's back in Australia? Is he off the cruise? Like I'm finding it hard to keep up, because he was watching Benchmark 78s when he was on this cruise. So I'm the life of Tom.
He's come back to Australia. I think he's up in Sydney chasing a bit more sun. He didn't get much tan days in Malta, so he's chasing a touch more.
Fair enough. Well, he's a walking lay-bin, which is a good segue into the lay-bin. And you're going to kick us off this week, Clance. There's something that, look, this is a dual acceptors, no doubt. It's a constant lay-bin, really. But this one in particular, over the next couple of days.
Yeah, dual acceptors sit in the bottom of the bin the whole time. So, I mean, we don't like touching on that more often than we need to, but this week we've got the additional meeting in Newcastle. So there's group racing there. They got the Cameron, and they got another one up there as well. I think it's the Gold Cup. And what it does is it dilutes the fields down here, and that's okay if we know where the horses are going. But we sit here going, all right, another wheel, nice $2 shot this week. Looks like an absolute champion. But then you look at Here to Shock, and it's we record this on Thursday, so there's only so much we can do. But that horse is already in Newcastle as we speak, and yet it's still in the market for Caulfield on Saturday. It's really frustrating.
You don't reckon he could make it back to Melbourne?
Oh, it'd be a tough double to do.
You wouldn't want to back him if
maybe
you did.
with you behind the wheel and your floats, but very frustrated to do the form on that.
Yeah, I was on the end of that too, because I tweeted yesterday that $2 looked good value. Looked overs for another wheel, and I got piled on. You're like, until the deductions come out. Well,
and then you can't delete it because it's too late.
Yeah. I don't have a map on the back of it where all the horses are positioned around Australia at this time.
Especially like the Friday.
Yeah.
You get caught out with the Friday meeting. I wasn't checking that.
Yeah, no, I'm just operating purely on acceptances, boys. Yeah. So, no, it's a bane of our existence as form analysts, that's for sure, Clance, and it's another week where it can well and truly line the bottom of the bin. It's the bin liner of the lay bin dual acceptors. That's what we're going with. Hey, we've got stacks of racing to get through today. We've got a cracking meeting at Caulfield, headlined, as I mentioned, at the top by that Group 1 Underwood Stakes, but plenty others as well. The Naturalism looks a really good race, which is going to shape a few chances, potential Caulfield Cup candidates in there, which I'm looking forward to talk about. We've got the Jim Moloney Stakes, the Testa Rossa, as well as the Caulfield Guineas Prelude, which we'll take a look at. We will kick off in the Jim Moloney Stakes. Before that, though, track conditions. Clance, I believe the rail's in the true.
Yes, I believe it's out 6 metres for the entire.
There was a bit of discussion about this prior to the show, so thanks for getting in on our in-jokes there. But the rail is out 6 metres, Claire.
It is the entire, and there seems to be a bit of a rain around pretty much every day until Saturday. So I think we'll be expecting somewhere in the soft, maybe towards the 7.
Can't give us any numbers on how much.
I don't like to take too many risks at this time.
Well, you absolutely butchered the track conditions last week, and we all ran with it everywhere we went after that. But the Bureau of Meteorology, they probably got it more wrong than we did last week, and that's saying something. But rain forecast throughout the day is always a bit of an issue, isn't it? Yep. And Caulfield's copped that a fair bit this season. So they've
been incredibly unlucky. I mean, they're not even their big meetings, and they were copping good-sized fields with rain throughout the day, and they copped a bit of flack for it, but realistically, I don't know what a track manager is going to do when you've got 10 races, at least 14 horses in each field. There's rain throughout the day. It just churns it up, and it does turn into shit, realistically.
Yeah.
So
it's an outdoor sport.
Yeah, that's right. I think they've done a great job to prepare it as well as they have in the last few weeks. So, fingers crossed rain can stay away on the day. Generally, the rain the night before is sort of perfect, and then it gets a bit of time to settle in, and then it's a nice even deck.
Let's kick off with race 4, which is the listed Jim Moloney Stakes for the 3-year-old fillies. Oz Empress beat to Sonic Boom and Perfect in last year's edition. Silmarillion heads the market after an impressive last start victory at the Valley. How are you assessing this one, Clance?
Yeah, wasn't that a great ride as well? I think McAvoy, Silmarillion is generally speaking a leader and jumped with them really well and could have led, but it was that day at the Valley where they actually weren't able to win from the fence and from the front. So it took a sit and was able to wind around them and win really well coming away. So a terrific ride, and there's no reason why this horse shouldn't be favourite here. Touch short in the market for me to dive into. There was a race up at Warwick Farm a couple of weeks ago, which was Lilac, and one of the horses in this race was really strong, and just kicked back to beat a $12 shot in this race. De Clichy Boulevard, I think is the name. But De Clichy Boulevard was slow out of the gates, went back, made a mid-race move as well, and was still amazingly fighting on in the last 50, 100 metres, and only got beaten a length. So when we see a discrepancy like $5 for Lilac and $12 for De Clichy Boulevard, I'm inclined to go with the roughie there at a $12 price mark. I think $14 on the exchange currently. And I think we're going to see a much easier ride and much friendly from the jock, and I think we're in a really good spot there, albeit I think Silmarillion is going to be really hard to beat.
Yep, so De Clichy Boulevard for you, Clance. Reece, how are you playing it, mate?
Yeah, I'm going to side with Silmarillion because realistically, you say I was on it at Moonee Valley, and she had the run of the race. She couldn't have won any easier, really, but I just think she's going to get a very similar run again. It's hard to imagine she's going to be far away from the speed. Blake Shin in the saddle. It's probably got a better price yesterday. I'm not sure about stepping in with a 2 in front of her. But look, she brings, you can say there's some Sydney form coming, but she brings a Sydney form before Moonee Valley. She was just edged out by Amina, and we know how well Amina goes, and that form times in with some of the best in Sydney. So I was probably keener with a 3 in front of her, but I think she should get absolutely every chance from 1. B Shin's flying. The one I think could jump up and probably hasn't been smashing the clock or the ratings is Hurricane George down the bottom. It was a walk, sit, canter. I don't think that makes sense, but anyway, you know what I mean. In a 6-horse field at Sandown, Jamie Carr sticks with it. It couldn't have won any more impressive visually, but the time didn't back it up. But I think it's a horse that could make a nice step up with a better run race. And I just thought for a bit of value, that might be one to throw into your exotics.
Yeah, I'm with you on Silmarillion. I see the 3-year-old fillies at the moment. That landscape is 3 tiers. This is a 3rd-tier race. Silmarillion's already split Amina and Manal. Manal's turned the tables on Amina, and that's sort of the 2nd tier, that Sydney form. The 1st tier, well, Autumn Glows in that. I think she's alone in that 1st tier at the moment. So Silmarillion has franked that Sydney form by winning last start. I think she's the best horse in the race, and Blake Shin going on is certainly not to be sneezed at either. Right. So
how are we feeling 1,200 up to 1,400? Did we feel like just stopping slightly at the end of 1,200 last start, or were we happy going up to the 1,400?
You watched a different race?
No,
no, I thought it was pretty soft.
Look, it's these younger horses. It's always hard. You could be right, Clance, but also she might have been clocking off.
Yeah,
if something come up inside or outside, she might have kicked again. So it is tough to read. You can obviously take that as a risk, and if any horse that hasn't been to the distance before, you can take as a risk. But I could also say that she was just soft on the line and didn't really know how to go on with it. So there might be more upside to 1,400 as well. We're going to find out Saturday, aren't we?
And that's the best part. We all get a chance to find out and bet into it. Race number 5, it's the listed Testa Rossa Stakes. Set weights and penalties, 1,400 metres. Buffalo River won the race last year. I Wish I'll Win prior to that, and Shaylo was another winner of the race as well. This is the race we've spoken about that's been decimated by scratchings. Craig likely not to go there. Dodge Another Wheel will be held over for another week because he has to win to get into a Toorak handicap. Here to Shock, as we mentioned, is in Newcastle, which leaves Another Wheel post deductions will no doubt be mighty short, and you can see why, Clance.
Yeah, absolutely. That was an incredible win last start. It was only a benchmark 100, but went back to last. And then Here to Shock was, funnily enough, also an incredible run. Had to sit 3 wide the whole way and managed to fight them off. But it was quite a slow tempo that day. So Another Wheel managed to rattle off the fastest last 6.42 of the entire meeting, and off that slow tempo got them on the line. So I don't think there's anything in this race that's going to be stopping Another Wheel. He also drew one. I think we'll probably sit a bit closer from that barrier than they had to that day. So, I mean, we're all speculating about what price we're going to get here. So it's no bet for me at the moment. Just excited to see this horse and where it ends up.
Yeah, I think he's pretty exciting. I can't bet in at what the price may be. They're not odds I want to get involved in. I'm assuming you're a pretty similar thought. Reece?
Oh, look, I don't want to bet strongly, but I am going to have something small showmanship. If we get a bit of rain around, he loves a bit of cut in the ground. I don't think he's just a wet tracker. I'm gobsmacked by some of the commentary about it. He's 5 from 5 on good tracks, so I don't know where we get the opinion that he doesn't handle firm ground, but obviously...
I think last start there was almost a question mark whether he'd handle the heavy track, and he came out and won at a bit of a price,
If
$20.
you look at the start before, he's got 2 duck eggs next to his name, and they were on wet ground. Yeah. So, he's a little bit up in the air, but I think the horse is going really well. You have to watch his jump out a few weeks ago at Pakenham to believe where he... If you stop it at 100 metres after the start, he would have been 15, 20 lengths off this horse that was going flat chat out in front, and he gathered him up arrogantly. I know it's only a jump out, but I think the horse is going well. I think the league team scratched him a couple of weeks ago from a track upgrade to save him, obviously thinking the horse is going quite well. So I think a little bit of rain around, as long as it stays a nice good 4, I think they'll run. Obviously, we're going to get some deductions if you're taking the price now, but I think he, outside of Another Will, can easily run into a place here. I don't think anyone expects Another Will to be getting beat, but if there was 2 little knocks I had on Another Will, was barrier 1. It would have to be the worst rating gate in racing, I feel. And also just staying to 1400, I don't think that's going to get him beat, but I don't think that's a real positive to his profile, staying at 1400 second up. But ultimately, he's going to be a very short price, and if he gets even luck, I think he's going to be incredibly hard to beat.
Well, they're talking Tourax, and some are even like throwing up Cox plates in the air about the horse. So it's a good point you make about staying at the trip there, Reece.
We can't not mention your girl, can we? Wishlaw Lass.
She's
separated?
A watch. No, we haven't separated.
I just want to mention her. That's
We're
all.
just in a holding pattern at the moment. I did watch her jump outs, and I'm waiting for another day with Wishlaw Lass. I want to see.
They're trying therapy.
Yeah, we are. Mate, when Simon Wild brings him to town, you watch out. I'm telling you, he's an astute trainer, Simon Wild.
Absolutely.
Let's take a look at race 7. It's the Mrc Foundation Cup, or as we probably more know it as the Naturalism, 2,000 metres. Uncle Bryn won this race last year, Smoke and Romans in 2022, and Nonconformist in 2021, which is usually a pretty good Caulfield Cup reference, this race. And the Heatherly Stakes is a good form reference for here. We've got the likes of St George, who's been well supported, the Big Grey, who just had no luck in the Heatherly, Testa, a little bit of Italian form for the Hayes team there as well. Yeah, it has. It looks a really good race. Immediacy, I thought, was a really good run as well in the So You Think. How are you assessing this one, mate?
Yeah, I think they're the 2 correct races to be referencing, the So You Think and the Heatherly. Heatherly, you've just got to have some questions over the length between, I think, 1st and 8th were less than 2 lengths over them. The only one you could possibly take out of that race for mine would be St George, who just had no luck the whole way up the straight. I think with any sort of imagination, you could give St George that 2 lengths to be winning that race, but even then, I don't think he's going to bolt in. You go back to the So You Think Stakes, and with the exception of Buffalo River on that occasion, Buffalo River went at an even tempo, and the rest of them were well and truly behind, so they were all running at a really slow tempo. I think Muramasa and Immediacy both were the 2 that I wanted to take out of the race. And Immediacy gets a 3.5 kilo weight swing here, so and a much better advantage with the barrier draw too. So I've got Immediacy on top, marked around the $7 mark and $6 in the market. So I find this a really tough race, one I'm not that keen to get involved in.
I marked Immediacy as a real follow out of the So You Think Stakes. I thought it was a sneaky good run, and was shocked when Immediacy came up $5. I was like, well, it was a sneaky good run, but I didn't think it was good enough to pile into $5 in a Naturalism. So, interesting point you make. St George is another interesting point you make. Like, we just don't know how much was under the hood in the Heatherly, and I think he was back something $51 opened earlier in the week.
We spoke about it leading into it. He dead set trialled like a hurdler. He was flat out trying to catch the jump out field. I know he's a stayer, but generally a handy enough stayer will still trial well and find the line. And the reason I brought him up was because on the morning he was like 34s, I saw into 19s or something. So the market support was there to back it up. And as you said, if you just had a little bit of imagination, you could see him winning the race. It would have been an almighty win, considering how he'd been trialling, but then the price, someone, a few people got.
I think Jack Turnbull was one of the 51ers.
Yeah, there we go.
One of the 51 men in
Got to keep him in your pocket.
Absolutely. Hey, there's a horse that that I'm really keen on out of the Heatherly, and it is the Italian form in Tempesta. I really liked the first up run. It was a slowly run race. This is a horse first up in Australia. Still managed to close off in the fastest last 200 metres of the race after doing a little bit wrong. Just wanted to hang. Drawn well in 4 for Mark Zara here. Should be able to blend in midfield, and with that slight step up in trip to 2,000 metres, Q Tempesta's on a Caulfield Cup path. I've got some futures Caulfield Cup too. I really like Q Tempesta. I'm going to be backing here.
That'll be a story and a half, won't it? If it wins a Caulfield Cup, where it's come from.
Milan to Caulfield. That's the fashion horse.
You can see the headline already.
Yeah, we'll call the...
Can you?
Well, he was somewhat treated in the last 200 metres as a runway last time because he was sort of going all over the place. So hopefully he can straighten up his runway here, the Milano Fashionista. You having a bet?
No, nothing from me. A wide open race. I'm just happy to watch this one.
Yep. Okay, let's take a look now at the feature. Race 8, the Group 1 Underwood Stakes, weight for age, 1,800 metres. Alligator Bloods won your past 2 editions. Prior to that, it was Zaki in 2021. A little bit of a changing of the guard, you'd have to say, this year. Come up a little bit thin.
There's no alligator blood in Zaki's here. That's for sure. It's actually... I was having a chat yesterday, and it's like, what is the story of Caulfield on Saturday? I mean, how do you wrap up? It's a Group 1 meeting. There should be some really big points to come out of it. And, I struggled. And you end up coming up with, all right, well, Pericles is a 3-time runner-up in Group 1 contests and runner-up in the Golden Eagle as well. It's like, it's never, ever going to have a better opportunity at a Group 1 than this. Having said that, I won't be going with Pericles. I'll be sticking away. I think... the interesting horses here I want to talk about are 2 of the imports, so Plastic Carousel and Buckaroo. And they were both in that Randwick that we saw via Sestina for the first time in the autumn. And I think everyone will remember Plastic Carousel from that race because, travelled up outside of, I think it was Think It Over at the time, and looked like it was going to go straight past him, and then via Sestina just gave a windburn. If you look back at that race, back on the rail, Buckaroo actually went across the line with Plastic Carousel. And I think it was probably the one that was forgotten out of that race. And it's finally got put in the race last start, went to the front, and was good enough to win. So I was surprised that Buckaroo came up as short as it has at $6.50, $7 on the exchange currently. But I thought they're the 2 that I want to be with, the real stays in the race, getting out to 1,800 and probably at where they want to be. And Deny Knowledge is going to be putting on a decent tempo at the front as well, which might just... bring those back markers into the race as well from Plastic Carousel's point of view. But Buckaroo, I'd love to see them sit up on the speed again here. And in a race where I actually was semi-keen on Kovalika before they pulled the pin this morning and scratched. Those 2 imports are the one I want to be.
Kovalika is the biggest trap in racing.
Saved you.
He saved you.
Chris has done you a favour.
So that's a good scratching. That scratching's on the backboard.
Well, I was saying, I think I've laid that horse every single start. I think I finally found a race for it.
Hasn't won for 480 days.
And now we make it 487.
Yeah. So
I'll be laying Pericles in this race and slight favours towards those 2 imports, but no clear bets at this time.
You having a bet, Prince?
There was a bit of chat about me backing Pericles, but look, I'm going to leave it alone. I'm not sure he is a Group 1 horse, but he comes into this at the right time. 3rd up, Bishin sticks. He's going to get a good tempo behind Deny Knowledge and possibly Buckaroo, who might want to hold Pericles out to try and make that horse do some work. Joe might get a bit tactical like he can. But yeah, I'm gonna stay out. I'm gonna stay out. Simple way. I'm gonna stay out.
All right,
I'm not gonna get involved against you two.
I'll go. You're sort of laying. You're staying out. I'm gonna go a hamburger with a lot.
Yes.
It's a Group 1. Why not? I'm backing Plastic Carousel. She's obviously a mare with just the 2 Australian starts, as you mentioned. Clancey ran 2nd when first up in that Randwick behind Via Sestina before going to that Queen Elizabeth where no one was chasing down Pride of Jenny that day. I think with showers forecast through the day, she's going to eat up getting a toe in if she gets that opportunity as well, and she'll be ready first up. I mean, this is from a camp that have been somewhat putting their toe in the water about maybe running without a fight first up in a Melbourne
right.
Cup. So she's a European stayer that's going to have fitness and run aside and be ready to go first up, place to Carousel. So I've got no issues backing her first up in a Group 1 over the 1800. I'm going to lay Pericles. I think it's the lay of the day.
You said more than day.
Yeah, he sits... He sits in the second rung for me when it comes to, like, he's a Group 2 horse. Like, it's not a genuine Group 1 weight for age, so, maybe he can pinch one. But the thing about his profile is he always peaks second up. So you look through his history, every second up performance is a big peak and then a regression third up. So if they wanted to target a Group 1 weight for age, maybe it should have come instead of the So You Think Stakes and been placed around that. I reckon he might regress again third up. Third up, and the history suggests he will. So I'm happy to lay him at the price and back Place to Carousel. Let's take a look at race 9. The Group 3 Caulfield Guineas Prelude, 1400 metres. Last year was a cracking form race for some of the big features because Chapati beat home Southport Tycoon, Centrefy and V8. So we had a good addition last year. It looks another really good addition this year. I'm going to ask you first up, what do you think of the Mackenzie form, Clance?
Yeah, I think it has to be the premium form line here. I think 3 of my top 4 in the market come out of that race. And you could easily argue that a couple from further back in the field, like the likes of Epimilus and Public Attention, really had no luck as well. So you could easily chime them in as well. But I've got Wanneroo and Red Aces, probably the 2 that are most likely to take up the running. Wanneroo having some really nice Sydney form and coming down. Came up a lot shorter than I thought it would, though. And the Mackenzie form line, I'm really keen to stick with Angel Capital. I thought that was a pretty strong run. Picked them up well from the back. Doesn't care a minor weight swing on the field from that. I think it's only 1.5 kilos. Bazzusto looks like... It looked as if the 1200 was going to be way too short that day, but boy, wasn't that a fantastic effort to get as close as he did and fought on very bravely. And then you look at the Kiwi Sergeant Major, who was absolutely storming down the outside. So I'm pretty happy to be with those 3. The one that I have splitting those 3 in the market is Private Life, also down from Sydney after that really nice win against the likes that we talked about earlier, which was Lilac and the Boulevard. But a non-betting race to start with. But I think I will be playing around those 3 come jump time when the percentages come down a bit.
Angel Capital, who was the winner of the Mackenzie, there's a little bit... she's so dynamic. We saw her he's so dynamic. We saw him on debut at Cranbourne, and then he won really well again in the Mackenzie first up. Sprinter, miler, What are your thoughts?
Well, this will be where they'll find out, and Clinton's openly said that. He said this will be a sort of fork in the road race on whether they come back in trip or whether they're heading up to a Caulfield Guineas. I'm happy to lay him. I think he had the perfect run of the day at Moonee Valley, and there was a couple of unlucky horses in that race. Obviously, it's the main form reference here, but he's drawn 3. He's going to need a lot of things to go right. If he's not brilliant away, he's going to be back. He's going to be cluttered up. If it's run at a good tempo, that'll help him because he'll just get into his stride and he'll be able to be smooth and Malum will have to work it out from there. But if it's one of these 1400s where a few find their spot early and they jam up, I can see him getting a bit keen and losing his action. I just don't think it's going to be anywhere near the same setup he had at Moonee Valley. Epi Meals was terrific considering he got dead set sat on his ass at the 300 at Moonee Valley. He goes from drawing gate 1 to now drawing gate 10, which I think is a massive plus. He's a really, really good horse to look at. I mean, I haven't even seen him in the flesh, but I've seen him on TV, and I just thought, wow, he's a cracking looking horse, and he looks everything but a mile, maybe even further type of horse. Feroche is incredibly unlucky first up in the McNeil. I don't know if that's going to be the right form. The horse is behind Growing Empire, but I mean, Growing Empire has obviously franked that form, and this horse dead set had nowhere to go and was checked off heels a number of times. Private Life obviously brings some spice from Sydney. You get to see that form line with, I think it's Lilac earlier in the day. Sergeant Major was terrific first up as well and around the valley. So I think it's a really wide open race, and the market obviously suggests that, but I just thought Angel Capital was a risk at that price.
There's a noticeable omission in all of those horses that we both talked about. You want to talk about a Sydney horse?
A Sydney horse in Wanneroo? Yeah, I do. I want to... So the way I want to play this race is I'm going to back myself in on the Melbourne form, but I'm not going to lose on the Sydney form, which is Wanneroo. I'm going to make Wanneroo a save bet because they're just hard to line up. But the one I'm going to put my money where my mouth is and make it back is Epimills. I laid Epimills last start in the Mackenzie because I hated the setup.
Yeah.
First up at the distance, barrier 1, and it came out that event.
Exactly
it worked out exactly that way. And I said on this show, I think he'll be the best horse out of the race, and I still believe that. He jumped out, beat home Growing Empire in a jump out. Like this, he's a serious horse, and he draws out here. He goes up in trip. He's going to get every chance, like Angel Capital did last start, to get that free galloping room because he's a big boy as well. So big advantage. He's going to be my back bet at $8.50. I can't believe we're getting $8.50 about him. I just think
$10 on the exchange.
Yeah, $10 on the exchange. There you go. And Wanneroo, well, just make his own luck up on speed, as you said. B Shin, the Autumn Glow form I mentioned already in the show. That's the premier form line. So sort of picks himself from that regard. So I'll save Wanneroo and I'll back Epimills and we'll hope to get a good result.
Just want to quickly ask Clance, is there a reason why we haven't mentioned depth of character? What's wrong with the form?
Absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
And even listening to Annabelle this morning was pretty keen on this horse, and it's trialled really nicely as well.
Well, I'm trying to look for horses that are proven at least 1,400, and that's probably why I'm mainly against Angel Capital, because he hasn't won at the trip, where this horse clearly has, and he's had another prep to be bigger and stronger again. I was just quite shocked by the price.
Yeah, and they've openly said will be better going into the campaign, but yeah, it's certainly not one you want to let get under your gut, but it's that sort of a race. I mean, we've talked about 8 or 9 genuine chances.
They can't all be $5.
Yeah, exactly.
They probably can, actually. Not on the exchange, though. Not on the exchange. Good stuff there. I think that rounds out our little look thus far at Caulfield. We'll preview Royal Randwick as well. But before we do that, we've got to head to what caught my eye. And it's open to me this week. Something that caught my eye yesterday at Murray Bridge, Wednesday racing. A horse by the name of Caesar, a 9-year-old by Sebring. Won a 0 to 56 at Murray Bridge for Dean Saxon. And you might not be thinking this is much in terms of a win and why we're celebrating this. But it's been a long run of outs for this guy. So his last win came on the 22nd of June 2019 at Randwick. That was in the Winter Dash, beating home Jungle Edge on a heavy 8. So
he's an elite wet tracker.
He's an elite wet tracker. After 8 starts, I think he had something like, I think he had 3 wins after 8 starts. He's now got 4 wins after 76 starts.
Game.
So
beating Jungle Edge on the wet, you'd think you're in for it.
It wasn't wet enough. It was only an 8. It was only an 8. I did mention it was an 8. But yeah, beating Jungle Edge in the Winter Dash on a heavy. Geez, the world's your oyster, isn't it?
Yeah.
But it's been a long run of outs, but it is the great game. So Caesar, the 9-year-old Sebring at Muzzer B,
and was on a 4-day turnaround to go with it.
Oh yeah, exactly.
He raced Saturday Donald.
One of yours tout him up?
Well, and that's the disappointing part. Even one of my slow horses beat at home, and then you see it winning a race 4 days later, and mine probably still won't win one.
Do your floats not go to Murray Bridge?
Unfortunately not.
They don't make it
I
that
shouldn't
far.
say unfortunately not. No, they don't.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Transport does, but my own float doesn't.
Right, that's good stuff. Let's get stuck into this Randwick card, because this is the time of the year, isn't it, where we've just got terrific racing in both states, and we don't have a Group 1 per se. We've got the 7 stakes as the $1 million feature, but there's plenty of black type in the undercard that's, I'm really looking forward to getting involved in. What is the track doing up in Randwick? Clance, can we back you in here?
It's true. It's true up there. And it's not hard to get Sydney at the moment. We could probably put Melbourne's weather in the lay bin at the moment compared to that, but they're getting nothing but sunshine up there. So with a little bit of irrigation on the Friday, you'd expect to start on a soft 5 at absolute worst and work its way into a good 4, good 3 by the end of the day. So expecting very good racing and fast racing.
Yep, race 5 will kick things off. The Group 3 Kingston Town Stakes is a set weights and penalties race, 2,000 metres. Just Fine won this race last year prior to going on to win the Group 1 Metrop. So good form race for later into the carnival. How did Zardozi come up second emergency in this race? What do you have to do to get into this field?
Is that because she's double accepted? She's in later in the day.
Julie, she's later in the day.
I'm not sure I know James is very good and he might have some pull, but I don't think you get to make the field in both. If there's too many runners, you will be emergency in one of them. I know that is the rule in Victoria, so I'm assuming there'd be something similar in New South Wales.
He's already potted him for his placement once
Yeah,
this
hasn't he?
episode. Don't
Yeah.
give him a chance to do it again.
Step in again.
James and I like that at the moment. So there's already one come out of the field, so only one away from getting a start, with Francesco Guardi being scratched already. But outside of Zardozi, it's a really good race. Lots of Chow Wolf, Elias, who looks a really promising stayer, Golden Path, who's humming. How are you assessing this one?
Yeah, geez, I thought this was a really hard race. It's funny you mentioned Just Fine. I mean, if that horse was still in the form of last year, 12 months ago, should be bolting in later on Saturday. But no strong opinion here. I think you've got to have... Well, I felt like I had to have Elias favourite, an absolute winning machine, 8 wins and 2 seconds from 10 starts. You're not doing a whole lot wrong, and especially over those sort of trips where it's come from is a lot harder to win than it is over here. So, drawn one, gets a cushy run, you think it'll be going straight to the front or sitting one off, and has also been back to the trials since and performed really nicely. So I think that horse is just travelling extremely well. Chow Wolf's such an interesting proposition.
I just want to ask you quickly, about Elias. 6 from 6 at 2,000 metres, which is an extraordinary record.
Yeah.
I was sort of, before delving in, I was like, remaining at 2,000 metres, trial between runs. What's going to be the end goal for a horse like Elias, do we think, around this 2,000 metres? Is it a... I thought it might have been a major cups player, perhaps.
I've never had to worry about placing horses this good.
Yeah, okay.
I wish I could tell
I was trying to look for an angle to get... I was trying to look for an angle to get Reece
here,
involved.
but unfortunately, the trainer doesn't have this calibre of horse.
Yeah.
And then sitting there going, we can place this really sparingly.
I wish this
like every week.
I wish these were my troubles.
Yeah, okay.
I'm trying to find the right 0 to 58.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know where they're planning to go with this horse, but it's actually quite a good setup and looks like it's ready to win, whereas Chow Wolf has come up favourite, and I'm not sure if we can say the same about that. I mean, what a dynamic win over 1,500. I don't think, I certainly didn't see that coming. I'm not sure many people did. And a great trial win again since. Is he just absolutely flying, or is he a touch sharp for 2,000? I don't know. 2,000 looked the ideal trip for this horse last prep, but I don't know, maybe he's going a bit better than that.
He ran some of the fastest closing splits of the entire day in that benchmark 100 over 1,500 metres, which is pretty impressive to do on a day that had some quality sprint racing. So he's absolutely humming at the moment.
And that's it, up to 2,000. I just think might still be a bit too dynamic for that. Having said that, could come out and absolutely brain them. So, as I said, really messy race that I'm not keen to get too involved in. The other one that I will touch on is Golden Path as well, which is absolutely flying. And really has surprised me by the level it's got to.
Yep.
Won the last 3, I think 4 of the last 5. And was in that trial behind Chow Wolf last Friday. So
does he need to get his toe in? Like, he hasn't got any winning form on good tracks, and if it's going to be hard and fast, he's going to be hard and fast up there. This is the sort of insight we're getting from our trainer placement on layback. 4 from 6 on soft and 1 from 2 on heavy.
Now, what I want to get your opinion on footy is a horse of yours, Military Mission. Was in the Chelmsford.
Complete bastard.
Yeah, but he didn't want to bring it up, and you had to do it.
No, because I think you can forgive that run. The Chelmsford was... it was just ridiculously slowly run and never stood a chance in the race. And all of a sudden we're getting $91 for this horse. And obviously we'll be suited out further than 2,000, but I don't think that the 2,000 would be pulling it up. So at a 90 to 1 pop, I don't think you did too badly.
I don't think it's going that well. I still thought, given how...
I can't help.
He's not finding the excuse that you did.
No, given the tempo of the race, I thought Tim Clark was there to be positive on the horse, and it just didn't go for him. And I know it was 34s into $21, I think, in the Chelmsford. So it wasn't...
When you tip him,
yeah,
they
exactly.
do that,
That's
don't
how I
they?
move markets here in layback.
Yeah.
So I'm just not convinced the horse is going as well this preparation. I mean, it was only first up, but gee, I'm not going to get involved even if it is at $71. You might want to click this up already because it's going to win at $71 now. I'm going to have $5 on.
We can get the old clip from you.
Yeah, we can. This horse is flying. It's not a race I really want to get involved in, boys, to be honest. I think Elias is class, Chow Wolf's class. I think Golden Path needs a wet track. Zardozi, does she get in the field? It's one I'm going to shoulder arms to.
Yeah, well, look, I really hope Zardozi gets into the field because she's duly accepted, but the dual acceptance in the other races over 1,600, I think this is a staying filly. I think she's had her best 2,000 plus. I mean, you were a fan of her last season.
Still am.
Yeah, I think she just ran like a second up horse that only went up a furlong in distance. She was great first up, and then she was okay second up as a $2.25 favourite. I think she SP'd. So some would say disappointing, but I just think she's screaming out for 2,000. So I think this is a good setup. She's drawn 4. K-Mac in the saddle, she'll be landing in the right spot, and fingers crossed she gets in, because I think she's a great bet. I certainly agree there's the two main dangers are in the market, but I think she won't miss if she gets in the field.
Love it. That's as good a confidence as I've seen from Reece Goodwin on this show. That's why we're here.
Yeah, correct.
That sort of confidence, those sales. Hey, let's go to race 6, the Group 3 Bill Ritchie Handicap, 1,400 metres. This is a cracker of a race. Redina won this race last year, top ranked in 2022, and a tissue in 2021. They're past 3 winners. Tom Kitten has obviously come up your favourite here. Amenable, well, I think, is a horse that went to a new level last prep without winning. Gringotts is exciting. Freedom Rally goes well on his day. How are you looking at this race?
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. What an absolute belter we've got. You've got Felix, Majestic and Fearsome who are going to do their thing and go to the front and ensure a pretty good pace, as they always tend to do. I think we're going to have Gringotts and potentially Freedom Rally that take the next pair back, so they look to get some pretty good runs there. Amenable's tried really well again since the gelding. Didn't quite have that knockout blow last prep, but has been running really well. And then, of course, you got Tom Kitten and Cholton Lane, if it's here instead of Newcastle, that has drawn the outside, and they're both likely to go back. There's a horse in here that I really want to talk about called Matcha Latte for Sarah Ryan. Now, it's
hopefully
also
not more than $5.
yeah, it was $27. But this is also in Newcastle at the moment, so it's got that caveat on it. But I'm convinced this horse is flying. He's having his second start for Sarah Ryan, but he's prepped up in his most recent trial on top of the ground really well. Drawn 13, but was only ahead off a Group 2 win in the Hobartville first up last prep, and is going every bit as good as that. So at a really big price, I hope they come here, and I think it's going to be a great each-way bet. Tom Kitten, very remiss of us not to talk about this horse, returned to gelding and was fantastic.
He could be the real deal.
Yep, absolutely. Well, I think he always has been. It was just getting him a little bit 2 stone lighter, and he'd finally switch on and get it all right.
Tom Lyon.
Yes.
Yeah. And then you've got that predicted fast tempo here with Felix and Fearson up the top, which is only going to suit Tom to get to the outside and come motoring down the outside. Gringotts is the other one, apart from Machelado, that I want to touch on. Drawn beautifully in 3, as we mentioned, but continuously improving its rating every single start, and I love that. Won its last 4 from its last 5. So I will be with Gringotts and Machelado. I think Gringotts is currently $9.50 the exchange, Machelado $26, so they're the 2 I'll play.
Gringotts has been exceptionally well placed throughout his career.
Yep.
Like, you look at a Rose Hill benchmark 88, Tamworth Cup listed race Doomben will have that residual fitness on his side. I can certainly see why you're gravitating towards him. Matcha Latte, that's a bit of price there for the punters. Yep. I refuse to back it just because matcha lattes are the most disgusting thing that you can ever drink. I digress.
You've given it a go?
I tried it. We've all been to Seminyak once. So I have tried the matcha latte, but it's a no for me. You betting?
Yeah, look, I'm generally not keen in Sydney, but this is probably the keenest I've been on a couple of horses. Zadozi, the first one, Freedom Rally, the second one. Nash in the saddle, he's got a brilliant second up record. I thought his first up run was great. He was caught off the bridle quite early. Willow had to pull the stick through in the opposite hand and really get up him, and I thought he was terrific late. I love the draw. There's going to be good speed. I think he's going to be in the plum spot. Nash is, as we know, an aggressive rider, could really get the best out of horses, and I think this is this horse's best opportunity to win this prep. He gets a minimal first up. He gets Tom Kitten from 15, staying at 1,400, and then you've got Scarlet Oak, which I can't believe we haven't talked about either. She's obviously well in the market. We want to see her win on firm ground. She's yet to win on a good track.
She's trialled up an absolute treat.
Yep. So look, I think there's a lot of little knocks on horses. Outside of Freedom Rally, I'm not sure what we knock him on. He wins. He's got Nashville Wheeler on board. He's drawn 5. He's going to be in the plum spot behind a good speed. And here we go.
I'm with you. And the blinkers first time.
I didn't even know that. So that just gets me more excited.
It screams positivity from the camp. I'm with you. He's going to catch.
And then I'm seeing it 7s out to 9.50.
Yep. He's going to catch.
It's screaming desperation.
It's more for us.
Putting the blinkers on his desperation.
That's me. I love it.
No, it's the grand final move. I honestly think that tramway form may turn out to be a really hot race with Royal Patronage and Amelia's Jewel too. So behind those, I think they're in for big preps. Fitness edge on those key rivals. I'm with you. Freedom Rally, Goodwin, Foot combined in the Bill Ritchie.
Kovaleika did put in a good one in that trailer.
Yeah, that's the suck them in run, that one. The reel them in. Good chat. Race 7, the Group 2 T-Rose Stakes for the 3-year-old fillies. 1,400 metres. Tiz Invincible beat Komochi and Tropical Squall last year. We spoke about in the 3-year-old race in Melbourne that the Sydney runners have been an even bunch this year. The girls, the Silver Shadow, the Furious Stakes have been the form references there, with the likes of Amina and Manal, El Mozillo, all featuring Manal turning the tables on Amina last start. But Autumn Glow finally gets thrown into the fold here, Clance.
Yeah, it's one of those situations you're either with Autumn Glow or against, I think, here. And it's a bit of a funny contest. I think the Furious over 1,200 that features quite a lot of these. Again, another race that had 1.8 lengths over the top 7 in the mark, or the top 7 across the line. So hard to have any sort of confidence in that form. And Autumn Glow just brings the complete opposite. Has just been blowing them out of the water. Has had the really good runners in behind. I mean, we saw Dawn Service come out last week and frank that form, and Autumn Glow just raced past there. And we'll get that another reference with Wanneroo going around earlier in the day on Saturday. I can't get into her at $2. I know these 3-year-olds are very rarely should be treated as just ratings because they've got so much more of a ceiling that they haven't found yet. But I can't dive in at the even money, so I'll be against her early. And the ones that I am going to have very small plays on are those that had no luck in the Furious, and they are El Morzillo and More Territories. They were 1.4 and 1.6 lengths off the winners, so Manal and Amina's of the world. But El Morzillo in particular fell out of the gates, ran home strong, didn't really have any clear running in the straight. And More Territories was the same. They both ran home really well at big prices, so I'll be avoiding the likes of Manal and Amina and Erno's Cube in this. But I think at a big price, I don't mind having those in there. But I do expect Autumn Glow to be too good for them all.
Yeah, I think she's going to be too good for them. I saw she opened at $1.80. I can't believe we're getting even money. I'm keen to get involved now at even money. I was going to sort of steer clear thinking she'd be backed into stupid odds, but I think she's just better than them. Got a good grounding as well, like 1,300, stepping to 1,400. I'm just questioning a couple of these, whether they're sprinters or not. El Mozillo closed off really well, as you mentioned, but yeah, I think Autumn Glow, that's your flight stakes horse as well when you're getting out towards the mile, Reece.
Yeah, look, I was with you, Footy. I'm actually surprised the price people are getting. I'm not going to back her because I just really want to watch the race.
It's not your MO.
No, and I want to see how good she really is, and I'm not going to be shocked at all to see her win well. Obviously, the Manal, Amina, they've got the form on the board, but, I mean, J-Mac goes with Autumn Glow. He'd been riding Amina. That's, something in its own. But yeah, I had a feeling I was going to see her 170 or something like that. To see her closer to $2, I was quite surprised about. Maybe it's because of the draw, where she's going to map. Where have you got her map?
Yeah, so she'll be going back, and there's a real lack of pace in this. So you can understand that. And the other very, very slight query that stops me taking a price like even money is she's coming from that handicap of 53 kilos in both starts, and now has to come up to the set weights of 56. Whereas the others are so used to carrying those set weights already. So, yeah, I mean, when you're taking even money, you don't want to have these queries, and there are a couple.
Yeah.
So
I don't think anyone's going to be shocked if she did that, blows them away. And she's a star of the making.
Yep. Hey, let's move on to race 8 now. The feature, the 7 stakes, weight for age, $1 million in the purse, over the mile. Fangirls come up short here, draws 9 from 9 after finishing third in the Winx Stakes first up. Tick over trial in between. Zugotcha beat Fangirl home last start rolls here. We spoke with the Royal Patronage form. Is that tramway form going to perhaps step up to a weight for age race like this? It's not a race I really want to get involved in from a betting point of view. I'm not sure about you blokes.
Yeah, I'm the same. I won't be having a bet early. But I do.
But I will late. He said that a lot. I'm a bit concerned about Clance.
We've got to get his tips late.
Late, yeah. I had a fill up, guys.
Well. Yeah, just hear me. Yeah. I think the Winx Stakes has to be the form line we're with here. The tramway, they performed well, Royal Patronage especially, and will be suited better out to the mile than first up at the 1400. But the class probably isn't as good as it is at the top with Fangirl and Zougotcha, and even Detonator Jack, I think, is going to be better suited out to the 1600. You're going to have a pretty decent tempo with Major Beale, and crossing to the lead always ensures that. Navajo Peak's an interesting one that often does this first up and trials very softly, and then gets first up and actually has produced some decent performances over the 1600 first up when they go to the front. So I wouldn't be surprised if Navajo Peak does just inject a bit of pace into the race out wide. Royal Patronage would be the next one back, and Zougotcha in that first pair as well. Fangirl, fully expecting her to go right back again, and it's just, is she good enough to run over the top at 1600? We saw what she did in the King Charles last year over the 1500, I think that is, or maybe the 1600, and that was brained past Mr. Brightside. So we know the talent's there. We're $2.30 early. I've got to mark $3, so not far off the price, but not keen to get involved.
You'd be backing Dirty Old Hinged, wouldn't you?
I'm not much of a Hinge fan, thank you. But I'm staying out. I'm really keen to see the two Waller fillies or mares go at it. I know James probably would have always been riding Fangirl, and Tommy was probably always riding Zougotcha, but I got a feeling when the gates come out, he would have been like, gee, I'd like to ride Zougotcha. Like, she's just going to get in the plum spot. They're going to have to go back on Fangirl. As we've spoken about plenty of times on this show, sometimes a good tempo is good for you as long as you get the right drag into it. But sometimes all of a sudden you're a mile off them and you've got to do too much work just to get into the race, where Zougotcha is going to be in the plum spot. So yeah, I'm just really keen to see. I think they're the two, and I'm just really keen to see how they go.
Yeah, I'm very much on your side again, which is scary, Reece. I'm happy to watch them go around. I think Fangirl's still the best horse in the race, and she should bounce out of that Wing Stakes run. But not a race I really have any sort of desire to get involved in. Let's go to race 9 now. This is a cracker. This is the Group 2 short. Set weights and penalties, 1,100 metres. Have a look at some of the past winners of this. Private Eye, Nature Strip, Eduardo and Classic Legend. So some good fast horses. It's a good fast horses race, Clancey.
Geez, we had some good sprinters just going back a few years, didn't we?
Yes. We've got some good sprinters going around here, though. Just some that are on the up, the likes of IME, who was a very impressive first up winner. Lady of Camelot maybe found the 1,000 metres a touch too short. She looked to in the Moya Stakes. You've got Private Eye, who's going to bounce out of that first up run, I feel. Dirty Old After Cabin, what do you do with him? And Steffi Magnetica, she's a good horse too.
Yeah, love Steffi. I think the Concord obviously is the main one here. Was over the 1,000 run at such a slow tempo. So how much do we actually take out of that race? And the track favoured those up on speed and in towards the rail as well. So we have to be forgiving of the likes of Private Eye, even Dragonstone, and to a much lesser degree Half Cabin. I've certainly had enough of that horse. But take nothing away from IME, that start. That was an incredible victory, and the market certainly knew about it. It was absolutely hammered, good double tipping. Figures into 450. I think someone on the show tipped it. I can't remember who it was.
Might have been Tom.
Yeah, must have been Tom.
I think it was the host.
But J-Mac jumps on board as well. I think drawn perfectly in 2 will sit nice and handy. So, and should be better suited out to the 1,100. So IME is close. I think it is my best of the day at this point, and best lay of the day.
He'll bet
later. And best lay of the day also comes up here, and Lady of Camelot just gets in absolutely horribly at the weights as the lone 3-year-old in this field. Strange placing. You'd normally see a 3-year-old in sprinting ranks go to the weight for age races like the Manikato next week.
I'm staggered they didn't stay in Victoria with her, and I know I've kind of already gone Cummings today. Yeah, I can't go Gay and Adrian as well, can I? But
absolutely,
1,200 metres, the Valley. I think she's made for the Valley, and she just couldn't keep up the early stages with Mornington Glory in the Moya, and came again through the line. You get in 50 kilos there, and you're going up 5.5 kilos in a set weights penalties Group 2. I just find it fascinating placement, but they know more than me.
Yeah, we'll find out on the weekend if they do.
Well.
And that's it. It's a 6 or 7 kilo turnaround.
Is it a Sydney way of going thing?
Maybe.
She raced well in the Blue Diamond. I don't know.
The owners might have had a bit of say. I don't know. There's a few things to be fair.
So I'll be taking Lady of Camelot on for a unit to win, but mainly 3 units a place as well. So very keen to take her on.
Geez, that's a big hamburger for you
that
race.
Yep.
IME best back, best lay almost there. What about you?
I'm a sucker for Pain, and I've loved the horse for a long time.
Don't say.
Aft Cabin,
No.
absolutely. Aft Cabin. Now, 2 horses, James.
That should be a safe word. Aft Cabin.
Yeah.
Sucker for
Two-
pain.
no more.
What's
2
your safe
horses,
word?
James
Let me
Cumming
out.
cut at the end of their last preps. One was Tom Kitten, the other was Aft Cabin. Tom Kitten got the win on the board straight away. Aft Cabin did not. But he was back wide, had the back of Giga Kick coming into the straight, held up, had to change course, then come again late in what Clance said was a slowly run 1,000-metre race. So they were still ripping along late, and I thought he was terrific through the line. I can see he's probably going to be back again from 11, and he's going to have a bit go his way. But I'm convinced the horse is going really well, and I'm convinced he's up to this, at least this grade. I actually think he's got Group 1 ability, the horse, and I just don't think the run first up told us the whole story on how this horse has come back gelded. So Saturday will tell us a lot more. I just hope the horse has clear running and we can actually see what he's got.
Mm-hmm. I'm really keen on Private Eye here. Ooh. 650. I'm jumping off IME. I've collected 11s, and we'll go Private Eye 650. That Concord.
You're about to peak as a 7-year-old.
You wanted to be up and in that day in the Concord. You mentioned it was fast up top. I thought Private Eye was brilliant. He was a notable drifter too. He was 8s or out to 11s. Still managed to run on very well. Ran past Giga Kick. He'll improve second up to 1,100 metres. There's too much between Private Eye and IME in the price, given the track conditions last start in the Concord. So I'm keen Private Eye in the shorts. Let's take a look now, boys. I think it's time for the lay streak, which we're all just ticking along okay now. We've had a couple of weeks of no outs, which has been really nice. Reece, you've got $152.63 in liability.
Yeah.
What are we doing?
Can I get back to you?
Clance, what are we doing?
We've just talked about it, the shorts. Good to know that Reece is with us.
Yeah.
Lady of Camelot, the place, really keen. Again, just poorly placed, and I think will be better later in the prep.
He's trying to withdraw it from his Betfair account, which is extraordinary.
I'm ready.
Yeah.
Caulfield Guineas Prelude. I'm going against Clance. I'm going to lay Angel Capital to win. Inside draw, 1,400. He hasn't ticked that box yet. Could be a messy mat for him, and keen to take him on.
Yeah, I'm going to head to the Group 1 at Caulfield, the Underwood Stakes, and I'm going to be laying Pericles. I think he's going to regress third up and continue.
Lay of the year.
Lay of the year. Continue on with the role he's been dishing up.
Group 1 lay, isn't he?
I think I've laid Group 1 every single time. Group 1 favourite lay, Pericles. For mine, what about our best backs? Where are you most confident across the 2 programs?
Boy, I really hope Matcha Latte comes to Melbourne. Comes to Sydney in the Bill Ritchie.
Taste it.
Yeah.
You only get them in Canggu, mate.
Yeah, that's what you're withdrawing the 152. So you can buy Matcha Latte. So each way will be the best bet there. Assuming they do go to Newcastle, it'll flick over to IME in the shorts.
I'm each way in the Bill Ritchie. I think Freedom Rally is a crazy price with blinkers on, which I'm glad you told me about that footy. Nashville Ruler on board. I thought he was terrific first up. He's got a terrific second up record to go with it. I think we can't miss top 3.
Yep. Caulfield race 6 commemorative for me. Split Komochi and Mumbai Muse last start. Mumbai Muse then went on to beat home Jolly Star, which is pretty good form. Needs galloping room, draws out, gets it. Big mare, I like her. Commemorative is my best back across the course of the weekend. A lot of fun again, boys, here on
the A-team.
Layback. It is the A-team. I reckon Tommy's not getting back in. This is
He's sniffing at the door. You can hear it.
I'm feeling.
Is that calling him a dog?
Yeah, I think so.
Is that basically saying that?
I think it is. I was just going to walk past it, but now I've backed over it. Reece, any runners coming up over the next few days?
Possibly one going to Adelaide on Saturday. Duly
I
accepted.
thought the float didn't go to Adelaide.
That's what I said Transport does.
Oh,
I won't be
gotcha.
taking it.
Yeah.
You won't see me over there.
Yeah.
I'll be sitting at home watching on the
Dual
couch.
accepted, and he's got a transfer going to Adelaide.
Yep.
He's a walking Labian, Reece Goodwin.
Yes,
What's the horse's name?
Geraldine's Jewel.
Oh, yeah, the old Jewel.
Yeah. I think if it goes to Adelaide, it's a nice each way chance from low draw.
Okay. And Clance, what do you got for us?
Any
Anything?
runners?
Any runners?
No runners for me.
Okay, good.
No,
He's a Leviathan owner, Clance. I just had to check.
I'll be heading out to Caulfield for the Group 1 Underwood, so hoping we get Pericles.
Well, true.
Beauty. All the best across the course of the weekend. We'll be back next week on Layback with Betfair.
Chances are you're about to lose. For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website.